And we're live. So, today is a very special stream in which it is only 2 hours. We're not doing a multi-part. We are endeavoring to finish this project. I just need to do a quick mic test, make sure everything's good to go, and that we're good for a very productive 2 hours. But first, I gotta wait for Twitch ads. So, in the meantime, if you're joining in, feel free to drop a hello in chat, and then we'll get into what we're doing today. And you can also tell me if things are too small, if my mic is like it just sounds like garbage, so that way I can try and fix things. Make sure that everyone has a good experience and that everyone can see what I'm doing, because I don't know if you're watching on your desktop, laptop, phone, tablet, whatever it may be. I want to make sure it's understandable. Hello, welcome. I have some new people today. Mic is good. Love to hear it, read it, see it. There's a lot going on there. Cool. Well, then let's get into it. If you were at today in Global Hack Week, I talked a little bit about using Arxiv, which is a kind of open source, I guess, way to access research papers. Which, if you're not familiar with research at all, this is a really good opportunity to get into it, see if you like it, with the quick warning that I should give you that not all papers are written for consumption by the mass public, being that they purposely write it in really hard ways that don't make sense. Weird elitism, I'm not going to get into it. Academia sucks sometimes. But the point is, maybe you, as a developer or as someone who is interested in research or not, is just curious about other technological solutions that people are trying to publish. And so we'll be looking at, well, let's say you want to get into it, you want to start reading papers, you just want to see what's out there. The hope is that this will not only benefit you as you decide that you want maybe some way to read a paper a day, very accomplishable depending on your reading skills. Maybe it's that you want to read a paper once a week. Your choice. But the point is, this will be a desktop notifier because, frankly, the moment I get on my phone, I'm going to be on my phone for the rest of the day. And so I'm trying to be thinking in the mindset of being productive. Seems like we've got a pretty small crowd today, which is honestly great. That means we actually will finish on time. But I still have an ad. Wow, this ad is still there's just multiple ads. Awesome. I love Twitch. Thank you. But yeah, so the way that this works is that if you have any questions, comments, concerns throughout my stream, or you think, hey, you just introduced a bug, or why aren't you using this software, library, etc., please don't hesitate to ask me. Chances are because I have no idea what it is I'm doing, because I didn't know about whatever library software you're about to mention, or because I'm on stream, I'm more prone to making mistakes. So I really heavily rely on chat to tell me, hey, you goofed, and that's okay. Because we're all here to learn at the end of the day. And not only do I get a chance to teach you, but sometimes y'all teach me, and we all benefit in the end. So since we, again, have a light crowd, let me go ahead and post that the check-in link. Make sure that you all get your credit for being here. Thanks so much for joining. And we'll get into more about how I go about this, which is that my Wi-Fi is dying. Why is my Wi-Fi dying? Come on. Not today. All right. Well, if I end up turning into garbage, sound or video wise, please let me know if I can receive chats, which we'll find out. That's not great. You know, my friend got me like an Evil Eye pin, and I think it already has like burned out. Anyway, all right. So what are we doing today? For those of you who are familiar with my streams, you know that we usually have a checklist or at least a document that we're referencing. I don't necessarily share the document itself. I just show it on stream. But this is my way of managing my ADHD and chat to make sure that we are on track and doing what we want to accomplish today. So my goal for Arxiv Notifier was, what if you've never read papers before, or you want to read papers? This is your opportunity to kind of slowly expose you at the rate that you want to be exposed to it. What if you are a researcher and you want one paper served to you randomly, or like a random topic? This will be a bonus feature if we have time. What if you have a specific topic you want to get into and you want to learn more about? Maybe you're a speed reader like me and you want more than one paper a day, and you might have the time to do it. And some research that I did on Arxiv's output. So I specifically said I wanted to notify myself on the desktop because I know that the moment I get a notification on my phone, I'm going to be on my phone all day and I have so much work I need to do that sucks for me. That said, I have seen a variant of this project as a mobile app, which is why I got the idea for desktop because I really got to be off my phone. We are using Python this week, or it's for today's stream, just because it was quick to spin up. It's easier to understand. There's tons of libraries out there. Figured it wouldn't hurt. And I also want to make sure that because I'm using a desktop, laptop, PC, however, whatever this is, working on, um, that you can open it on your preferred browser. So some people use Chrome, some people use Firefox, some people use a variety of other things. I think Arc is the new one that everybody's been using, all sorts of stuff. And the other thing is, I'm like, well, I want it to run daily, weekly, monthly, depending on my frequency. Like maybe I'm too busy and I want once a month, like a new topic, new paper. Or maybe I'm like super into research or I really want to get a wide exposure, in which case run it daily or give me a lot of papers for the week. So there's a lot of options of how we might go about this. We'll come back to this about what we could be doing with it and how we could solve the time problem, because we're going to break this project down into what we can program first of like, can we at least just get a paper and then go from there? So breaking that down even further, for our user experience for this stream, we will first get a topic. It'll probably be about hackathons because that's my research topic, or select by random, which would be a future feature if we have time. We're going to set max articles for about one, just because we want to say, like, can we at least get an article? Then we're going to set up dummy data because I'll show you why it is that we don't want to get blocked by Arxiv and how long it might take to get back to getting access, which is also why we're looking at the daily, weekly, monthly stream of things instead of like hourly. And then we also want to set up time for notifications, set the frequency for once we're wrapped up and we've tested things. And if we have time, we'll have this run in the background. So that's a lot that I just went through. And if you're just joining, the short version is we're making an archive desktop notifier. And I just realized I forgot one thing. So I'm going to pause super fast while you all can get a feel for what we're doing. If you found that I went too fast, if you want to look into what archive is, take that 1 minute and go ahead and do that. Be right. Thank you. I forgot to unmute. Yeah, you'd think I would remember to fill my water bottle before stream, and the answer is no. I never remember because I'm always like, oh yeah, I'm parched. Oh no, I'm out of water. I did not plan accordingly. Such is my life with ADHD. It's okay, but the point is we are prepared today. Okay, so like I said, this is a 2-hour project. We are going to move fast, try our best to get as much done as possible, where our bare minimum is just getting this kind of data. And then we will focus on that time and frequency bit, and then we'll have it run in the background, like I said, if we have time. So this is a great way to approach small projects, which if you are planning on joining us for, I believe it's Career Week next month, that would be a great time to start thinking about how are you going to do projects, especially because right now it's job hiring season. So what are small, short projects that can really make you shine without taking too much out of your day, especially if you're in school? Hi, I'm doing that, which is why we're talking about that. Because I'm like, I have all these great project ideas. I don't have time for them. Anyway, let's get into Arxiv. So what even is Arxiv? You can see it's quite bare bones. It has a ton of information about all sorts of different topics. Now, it's not extensive. It's not like every research journal out there if you're familiar with research. But let's say I'm into computer science, which I am, or, I could also go any one of these other fields because I actually do really enjoy them. But for today, let's talk about computer science. And so I'm going to go ahead and search. And so it will let me pull up a number of things once I clarify what I'm looking for. So since I'm looking in computer science, let's say I want to look at hackathons. And as you can see, there's quite a few here. This is not your typical search query in Arxiv. I should mention this. Normally, people are looking for things like artificial intelligence, machine learning, computer vision. Back when I used to do research in computer vision, this is actually where we would publish our preprints. So anything that hadn't been formally reviewed, hey, I know that. Oh, I actually know a lot of people in these papers because I work with them. Um, so with machine learning, AI, etc., they're research topics. People are pre-printing or pre-publishing their work to say, hey, I worked on this. It needs to go out now. I don't want journal reviews to prevent us from not being able to show you how amazing our work is. It's a very fast-moving field, like computer vision, AI, machine learning, etc. And so because of that, a lot of people are posting on Arxiv so they can basically stake their marks as soon as they can. So just to show you, I'm sure we'll get a ton of, that's a lot of results. Quite a few. But to start going through it can be quite overwhelming, which is where this desktop notifier comes in, or maybe we would just want like things for the day. We could eventually add in more queries, but again, this is proof of concept that you can then fork and do on your own in ways that maybe you want, therefore making this a bit of an open source project. And of course, Arxiv is open in the sense that it's like access to papers. Normally you have to pay money, or your university pays money to journals so you can access all these papers. Super nerdy, ranting aside, let's talk about the API access. Most libraries, databases, etc. like these have some form of API access, or don't in the case of some other examples that I can't remember off the top of my head, but they're like, no access. Oh, DevPost. DevPost just doesn't want to give us API access, and that's fine. Like every company and group and everything that may host public-facing things doesn't always give you an API, but Arxiv does. So, and that's not to say DevPost is bad for that. They're not. It's just that it's not in their project plan, and that's okay. But Arxiv, we want to access the papers that we just pulled up when we searched it, kind of like anything else we might do, but we do want to do it programmatically. So if we had the time, we would go through and talk about all this and explain what's going on. We don't have that kind of time. I did the work for you. So instead, I wanted to go to API Basics, which tells us, hey, this is how you can access all of our stuff from a programming interface that's easy to understand. What I specifically want is, hey, so it looks like it calls this export query, and they're looking for results that match the search query all::electron. Okay, and so it can be accessed from any web-enabled client, including your web browser. So let's just go to it for giggles. And right off the bat, it's going to give us all this data. And if you happen to have a prettifier extension, like it might make it easy to read instead of just a wall of black text. I couldn't find an extension that I liked enough to use it. And we're not trying to read this either. But we do want to see like, hey, wait, this is XML. Normally we work in JSON. How do we parse in XML, right? Surely it's the same. The short answer is no. We're going to get back to that. But now that we know that we can just, query this using their own URL, it looks like they have other forms of search parameters. Good to know. This would be good for you to come back to if after this project is over, you wanted to have more specific results than what we're getting just from our prototyping of making this work. A future thing I might do would be like, make a nice pretty UI that lets me customize and pick things. Sometimes I don't got that time. But as you can see, they have a couple different ways or examples to work with it. And so since we're working with Python, they say feed parser. They also have an example, which is really nice. So they have the URL library, which is a Python standard library. They're importing all this, printing the data, decoding it, etc. Really short, easy, very nice, and it's still the same search query where they said, give us all the things that start with electron, starting from 0, and give us the max results of 1. We might change that range later. But coming back to this, we're like, okay, let's say we're feed parser. We need to figure out how we actually get the data that we want, which is 1, we want the link to the Arxiv article so we can actually read it. 2, we might want the summary or abstract, and that's right here. So we have summary right here. We have the title as well, which is right here. We could reference the published and updated dates or even the IDs, but And then we have this tag called entry. And I know you can't see it. I haven't zoomed in, but let me do that right now. Super massive. Okay, so every entry or result from this work will give us a number of things. So this is a full entry. And within entry, we could have ID, updated published title summary. Then we have author and all the different authors. Then we have the DOI, the link title, and the comments, and then where it came from, like the journal, any other link refs, etc. So we have a lot of information just in one entry, but we do need to dig into those to get there. So when we first get the feed, we have our reference, and we have the type, and then we have all this information about, what did you actually search and what did it return and how was it actually doing that? We don't really care about that. We care about when it gets to entry, which is fair. I wasn't kidding when I said we were speedrunning. But feel free to drop questions in chat as we go. I want to make sure that we do have some time for questions and that people know what I'm doing instead of just me being like blah, 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 blah at fast speeds that don't make sense. But I ended up not using this example much for what it's worth. You can use this as example. You could switch to all these things. I chose not to. I chose to go a different route because I wanted to find some other stuff ahead of time. So if you are not already in Visual Studio Code, go ahead and open up a new file or what's it called? New window. And then let me also swap some windows around for me. And we're going to make a new Python file. And what we're going to do is we're actually going to set up a virtual environment for Python because we want to make sure that we can install some libraries local to this folder just to make sure that, we know what we're doing and that things are okay, that somebody else could therefore get a requirements.txt, install everything and be able to use this if they were programmatically inclined. So some things I know I was going to need is going to be feed parser because they mentioned it. And that's a great way to process XML, which if we had gotten to that point in the, where is it? In the data, feed parser. Yeah. So the languages they know they can handle calling the API is feed parser, but we scroll up just a bit is here's where they define what the specifications are going to be. Atom 1.0 is an XML-based format commonly used in website syndication feeds. Lightweight, human readable, debatable. Results can be cleanly read in many web browsers. So because we're using Python, we're using feed parser to process that XML data that we have. So coming back, we know we're going to import feed parser. And is there anything else that we might need? Well, let's pause there and save that file. And then I'm going to put this in a new folder, and I'm going to call that archive notifier.py for now. And also, where did I just... That's okay. This is probably in the wrong folder. Please hold for a moment while I make sure I'm in the right folder that I want to be. Where did you get put? I know I put that in. Well, I did not put it in the place I wanted to put it. Evidently. I was too fast. Oh, no, I was. I was okay. Let me just fix something really quick and make a directory. See here. I'm just making a new folder and I'll move some stuff in to archive. And then let me go ahead and there we go. Whoa, that's not what I wanted. Don't do that. That's not what I wanted. Technical difficulties, as we do. It'd be like that. Repositories, archive. All right. There we go. Things are now in the correct place. And let me go ahead and open that. And we're going to go back to what I was originally doing, which was setting up a virtual environment. And I forget the exact, what's it called? I forget the exact, did I close my reference? Yeah, I did. Silly me. Doing silly things. Open. Wow, I'm like trying to be fast about this and it's not going well. This is why I don't go fast. This is why I go slow. Because I'm more prone to making mistakes that I wanted to zoom in. There we go. This one I need to zoom out. Put that there. Pull that back. There we go. Things are fixed. Back to what I was originally searching, which was I was looking at virtual environment because I never remember what I'm supposed to put. Let me also zoom in for folks. But I want to set up a virtual environment. I forgot the -m. Gosh. -m, the end, which is the name of our virtual environment. And we're putting it in this path. There we go. Let me just make a directory. Make dir, is it going to let me? I don't think it's going to. The end. Ah, it did. Great. Let's go put all that stuff in. Yes, move these here. I forgot to make the folder name. Move. And move this back out. Because I grabbed the wrong file. Cool. All right, now we're going to activate it, which in order to do that, I believe it's env scripts activate .bat. No. Why does that? Oh, because I used the wrong. This is the downside to deving on Windows is I make silly mistakes because I'm so used to my Mac, which is fine. Also, my keyboard is unmarked, so there we go. Okay, so we've enabled our virtual environment. And now we're going to go ahead and pip install feed parser because I don't have that in this. And once that's done, this should stop freaking out. Visual Studio Code should yell at me that I'm doing things and then recognize that I have an environment. It'll figure itself out. It's fine. Cool. So let's get into what we actually want to do. Let's see if GitHub Copilot is going to let us do what we want. Write a function to get a paper from Arxiv using the feed parser library. This is going to introduce bugs because Copilot does that. Or not. Yes, sent. There we go. All right, let's see what it gave us. So it says get latest paper, given the URL, parse it, feed entries. And is that basically what I have? Sort of. There's some changes to it, but this is good. We have some information that we need, such as the title, the link, the summary. We don't need published. No, that's okay. We don't need that back. Yeah. So the thing is we have some more customizations that we actually want to do. So let's also go get that URL that we need such that we can, I need to close that. What happened to my window? There it is. So I want that query that we had. And we're going to make that quoted. And we're going to do that. And we're going to get rid of this because we don't need this. Now feed URL is now equal to that. Cool. So we have that it's going to go get all the papers with the subject electron, start from 0, give us max results of 10 papers. Alrighty. And then let's see. So we have that it'll parse things, and then for each entry, if there is entries, latest entry is now the one at 0, return. I see. Even though this gives us 10, we're not actually using a for loop, which if we didn't go through our code from Copilot, we would have never caught that. So let's leave that for the for entry and feed.entries. Sure. Let's do that. We're not going to return everything. We just want to print all the titles in it. Cool. And then, of course, to test, get latest paper, which is not actually accurate. Let's just do get X papers. Let's call that. We'll change that later. get X paper. I know that's not great formatting, but I just want to test that this works. And we're going to do Python archive. Come on, archive notifier.py. It's going to probably give me a bug. Oh, it did not. Let's look at it then. Cool. So we said for all subject of electron, give us the first 10 papers and give us the title in a print. So we have the impact of this. We have the electron stuff. We have electron pairing, electron temperature, Hamiltonian. That's actually pretty funny. I cannot pronounce this. No, I'm not going to try it. One day I will be able to speak German. Today's not that day. I'm assuming that's German. It gives me ideas that it is. Baryogenesis. Cool. So we've got about our 10 papers. Awesome. We love to see it. So we're not going to spam this though. We've confirmed that yes, we can get stuff. We can parse things. Let's actually make something useful out of this now that we've, again, worked with Copilot, getting things going. Quick pause for questions. I did see somebody had posted things. Use PyCharm. Thank you very much for that feedback. I personally really enjoy Visual Studio Code, but I am not requiring anybody to follow along in Visual Studio Code. I did say open it if you have it, but if you prefer to use PyCharm, go for it. I just don't develop in Python enough to use PyCharm. I know it has greater like library management and iterating through some things. I'm just lazy. It'd be like that. Alrighty. And honestly, it hasn't stopped me yet, so. Ooh, someone's telling me how to pronounce the German word. Split the word in two. Brem and then, yes, before the Strahlung. Strahlung. I'll keep thinking about that one. Thank you, though. I appreciate that. Alrighty. So, let me also make sure that I can read what I'm referencing. I would like to have her up. All right. So, how do we adapt this to do what we want? Well, first, let's turn this into a formatted query. I think I can actually leave it with that. Yeah. All right. So we're going to change this into a formatted query because we want to change certain things like the topic. So let's do topic instead. Let's change our start to start. And let's change our max results to max results. Awesome. So we obviously don't have our variables yet, but maybe we do that here. Topic, start, max results. Cool. And the way we might change that is how we access this. So let's change this to just get paper, plural. Alrighty, so we've updated that. Another way we could do this is just have this be our base URL and then add things in after. Honestly, not a big deal. I'm not too worried. And then let's see. So we've got feed parser. We know we're getting entries. If we have an error, so I had mentioned something that I ran into while I was testing this and creating this for everybody, because I really wanted to make sure we could speedrun, get it done, all that kind of stuff, was that after I had asked Arxiv like 5 or 6 times for papers, it started giving me service errors of 500 because it would kick me out, basically. And that's something that they've set up to basically avoid people downloading like repeatedly massive amounts of files, etc. Not that I was doing a lot. But it is important that we keep an eye on how many times we're querying Arxiv. So eventually we are commenting this out, but first I just want to make sure that I get my structure right, call in the one last like a file or something or entry, and then we're going to put in dummy data so that way we don't keep calling the API and have it hate us, basically. So there is something else that we need to do, which is do a handler for it to quietly or safely fail without completely ruining our structure or our program, which is that we're going to use a quick try catch. So when we are getting this parser here, we need to introduce a try catch. So try, and we're going to do this, delete that. And then we need a catch. Nope, that's Java. We don't need Java in this stream right now. And it's autofilling for me. I like that. So we're passing in the feed URL, not too much else there. Let's go ahead and move these in because this will still happen if we have things. Let's do that. Just gonna do that. Remove our returns. We're not needing that right now. We could do prints for what else we need, which we wanted a couple things, which was like link. Stop showing me those previews. Thank you. And we also probably wanted the summary, and we know that those existed. We don't need Java things in here. Gosh, girl, get it together. Alrighty, so we have our feed. We have if there are entries, then go ahead and go through all the entries, and for each of them, print a title, link, and summary. Thinking about what we could possibly otherwise need. Let's get an ID for being thorough, even though it's actually, I'm pretty sure, the same as the link. So we've got entry.id. And the only reason I know that these exist is because let's go back to our API, which is that we have this ID tag field here. We have our title, we have summary, and I believe link is further at the bottom. If I was curious, I could also include the authors, and that would be not a bad idea, but I'm lazy. So, all right, so we have link right here, which gives us an href. We have our title. I believe we don't need to do anything special with link because it will give us the content, I think. We will find out. But the point is we have the ID, which if we go back to the ID, will give us the link anyway. So it's like, do we even need the link then? Is it just for other things that maybe it would be needed? In which case, maybe we should just get rid of link. Let's leave that for later. Cool. So we now have our try catch for when Arxiv kicks us out because we've asked it too many times for things. What else could we possibly need? Now there's some cleanup we could do here. There's a couple things that I'm like, yeah, I would do this differently, which is that maybe I just want objects. I don't necessarily want to print things all the time. So let's make this into a function that we actually can use. So let's do a bit of a cheat. Where we're going to do, I forget what these are called, list comprehensions. That's what it is. And I want to do ID because we already have that, and that's going to be entry.id, if I can spell. Oh, look, it's autofilling. Will it give us all of the things? Somewhat. Let's take that. Let's get rid of summary for right now and link just to have some readability. And this says for entry in feed.entries. Not bad. Love that. Let's go ahead and delete that because now we have that. And we're going to go ahead and return entries. And for this, we're going to return empty results. Alrighty. Is this everything? Let's double check. Doesn't hurt to go through and read the code. When we get papers, we're inserting topic, start, max results, which if we go to the next line, we have those injected in the correct places. Yes, great. Then we are going to try to call the parser on feed parser, given the URL that we've injected to. Fantastic. And as long as that is successful, we'll go ahead and do list comprehension on all the results we got back to get their ID and title into a dictionary that we're going to return. In the event that or a list of dictionary items or a list of dictionary objects, in the event that it doesn't work, such as we've asked Arxiv too many times, we're going to return an exception or cause an exception. This is too generic for my taste, but good enough for now, where we're going to go ahead and print the error and return an empty list. Seems fine. If the event of an issue, we should quietly, safely fail. Now, what else do we need? So let's go back to our checklist. Alrighty. We got a topic. We set max articles. We're going to change that to 1, and then we're going to set up dummy data. So one last time, we're going to test this function. And then we're going to get into doing the time stuff. And honestly, we've only used 30 minutes, so we're doing pretty good on time. Let's go ahead and save. We're going to go ahead and run this one more time. Alrighty. That did not work as I intended. Where are my links? Did I not get links? Did I entry data? Oh, right. I didn't actually call a function. It's kind of important, isn't it? I should call a function. All right, get papers. We're going to do hackathons. And we're going to say start from 0, and we're going to only get 1 paper. Now let's get 2. Let's get 2 papers because I'm curious. And now we're going to run it. I know how to run Python sometimes. Alrighty, it didn't give me anything because I didn't print anything. print entries. Alrighty. This is probably going to kick it out again because I've called it too many times at this point. It's thinking. Yeah, it's probably mad at me. Ah, it's not. Fantastic. It is going to be mad at me soon, though. Alrighty. So we have that it gave us a ID. We got tracking hackathon code creation and reuse. And then we also got how trans inclusive are hackathons. So we have our links. We have some titles, which means we have some sample data, folks. Alrighty. So we are going to not do that. We're going to go ahead and pause that now that we know that it works because we don't want to harass Arxiv. And instead, we're going to say entries. Oh, hang on. With the data that we have, I want to enter a new line. We don't need to print anymore. And we're going to say, yes, great. Thank you for giving me test stuff. ID. We're going to give a couple baby links like MLH.io. And then we're going to do another object. If I can type on a good day, I can. What are you giving me as a link? Great. Give us a second title. Test 2. Let's do GHW.mlh.io. Because right now we just want to show that we can get a link. We have a title. Fantastic. So our function is effectively good to go. What do we need next? You were giving me ideas for things, Copilot, but that's not what we needed. We've got this, we've got this, we've got this. Nice. New record, 30 minutes. Let's get into doing time stuff. How do we even do time? Does anyone in chat maybe have an idea of what you might use as a library for Python to schedule something ahead of time? Or we can reroute and work on getting an actual desktop notification. I would recommend the second, actually. We should switch to that. There's a couple things that are involved in the notification. One, that we need some form of desktop notifier library. 2, that we need some way to open a link in one's preferred browser. And there's 2 libraries that I was using for that, which, if you were here at the beginning, I may have said it, which was there's desktop notifier and there's web browser. And this was just because I Googled, like, what Python library should I use for X? That's what I got. I also chose desktop notifier because it's been updated recently. The other desktop notifier library that's out there hasn't really been updated for a really long time. And I was like, that's sus. So we're not going to use it. So let's go ahead and install desktop notifier. We're going to get to the time thing. I realized I skipped some steps, so go ahead and pip install desktop notifier and go ahead and grab pip install web browser. Now we're going to go ahead and import web browser and import desktop notifier. I think I spelled that wrong. It's probably underscore, isn't it? Yeah. Alrighty. Let's see. Sure. What will you give me? For paper in papers, desktop notify IDs. Sure. Let's test that. Sure. Let's also test that. I like these ideas. That's not going to be how it's going to work, but I want to see how it does things. Notify papers. And we're going to get papers. This is useless and stuff, but that's okay. And then, yeah. Let's see what pops up. I'm going to go ahead and run that notifier. Alrighty. Desktop notifier has no attribute notify. Thank you for Copilot doing Copilot things. It's not the best. That's okay. But let's go ahead and go look at those packages I just installed. Desktop notifier Python library. Alrighty. And zoom in for folks at home. Could zoom in a little more. Alrighty. So it lets you work on Linux, Mac, and Windows. Some caveats with this that we'll get into later about specifically Mac. and with regards to scheduling things on Windows. But it looks like it gives us a number of things, like we can have clickable notifications, multiple action buttons, as you're seeing in this GIF, notification sounds, threads like grouping by topic, and limiting the number of maximum notifications. Pretty nice. So you can see that there's a quick little preview of our notifications. We're going to get into this. And there's our documentation that we're going to go ahead and open a new tab. We've already installed it. Yay. So we have this example: import async IO, import desktop notifier. Let's go ahead and copy these. Let's go set up those desktop notifications. It's clear I didn't import things correctly. Let's get rid of this. And we're going to jump, and we're going to just delete those because Copilot failed. That's okay. It's not perfect. All right. So I wonder which side of the computer it will show up on. You gonna do the thing? No? But I ran you. Why are you not sending me a notification? You should just run. Oh, you know what? I have my notifications turned off for the stream. Okay, so you can't see this, but on the left side of, yeah, there we go. So let me see if there's a way I could have this show up. Let's clear some things. Come on, I gotta clear some notifications I've been ignoring. Yep. All right, will you show up on this side? No, rats. That's kind of annoying. Will you show me how to do things such that I can show this? Rats. Alrighty. I have no way of showing this on stream, but I can confirm, I promise you I'm not lying, that it did show up on the left monitor that I have here saying hello world. And so what I can do, actually, I can screenshot this. Yes, show me this clipboard. Okay, so it did send me stuff when I was running things, which is that hello world notification. All righty. Now let's start finagling with it in such a way that we can now send multiple notifications per paper, or just one for the paper, right? Let's go ahead and do that. So we have async def main. Let's leave that as is for now, actually. But we do want to pass in papers. So let's go ahead and do, sure, get papers, get machine learning. That's great. We're not using them, but that's okay. And then we're going to do for sure. Thanks so much. All right. So for paper and papers, await notifier, send paper, get the message as the ID. And then web browser dot open paper ID. Let's see if that works. I don't think it's going to. I think there's going to be something quietly wrong with it. Oh, okay. So what ends up happening is that it immediately just opens the links for me without me clicking on it, which is not what we wanted, for shame. But at least the notifications did go through, and they say test and MLH.io and Global Hack Week. I just cleared one by accident. Cool. So it aggressively does kind of what we need to do. Not quite there yet. So let's see now. What could we need to do instead? I'm just glancing at my cheat sheet because I already wrote this and I want to make sure that we're doing all right. Yes. Okay. So let's keep scrolling and see what these examples are. This is a little more probably of what we want. Where it's giving us a couple things like the app name. So now we would have a custom notification name instead of just Python. We would get a notification limit. That's really nice. And then information about the things that we want in the message. It's not necessarily critical. I believe the equivalent of urgency is normal. And then as far as buttons go, we don't really need buttons, but we do want something to happen when it's clicked. So right now it has the Lambda print notification clicked. Okay. And then it says when it's dismissed, do some stuff. What link would you like? Is it the desktop notifier documentation? If so, I will post that. The docs. There you go. Yeah. So that's one of the docs. Alrighty. So I'm referencing the usage section, and I'm specifically looking at this second one. We're going to go ahead and copy this because I want to see how it works. I can get back to my window. The problem that's going to happen is y'all won't be able to see as much because it's on a different monitor, and I don't want to switch screens just yet. Well, there's a fix. There's a fix. That's fine. We're going to go ahead and delete that. Let's scroll back up. Gonna delete that. Async IO can be deleted. And, oh, right. Let me also view word rip. There we go. Now we can actually see things. We don't need those files open either. Alrighty. So it has a number of things being imported. Yay. Let's change this to archive notifier. Thank you, Copilot. And then, let's see. Let's do that same thing where we did for paper. Oh, no. I don't want to do that like that. I don't like that. Papers equals get papers. Do that. And then there we go. Yes. Do that. We will delete this in the meantime. Get rid of that. Does that have everything else I need? For paper and papers, await notifier send, title paper, message, urgency is normal, buttons. Oh, it's autofilling some things that we didn't get to yet. I know what it's pulling from, and it's a lie. We had to do some fixing, but it's fine. And then we'll leave these for now. We just want to make sure that this works. All right. Let's also move this function above it because my embedded system needs means that the function needs to come before it's called. Otherwise, compilation is gross. Okay, let's go ahead and run that. So let me also screenshot that. Show me my... There we go. Okay, so it says that we have Archive Notifier, which is our title of our app, which we did at the very start here. And then we have our test as our title and our link. I didn't click it just yet. I just wanted to prove that I could get notifications in my window. So now that we've confirmed that I do, in fact, get notifications, I'm going to see if I click read, will it do anything? All it does is dismiss it. But if I click the notification, it still kind of doesn't work. Ugh. Not great. We don't need a notification for it being dismissed. Let's replace this on clicked. And also let's just get rid of the buttons. I don't want the buttons, but I do want this web browser open. I don't think that's going to work, but I like the enthusiasm, Copilot. I like where you're coming from, but I think you're getting ahead of yourself. Let's also confirm that this actually does what I think it does. Let's go to web browser ROSER Python library. I can't spell today, folks. It's okay. Alrighty. Okay, so it is just .open. If new is 0, the URL is open in the same browser. If new is 1, we could open a new browser. If new is 2, we could open a browser tab. Auto arrays could depend on what window managers. Good to know. We just want open.url. So let's go back. On-clicked. Open the paper ID. And if we run this, it didn't do it. Okay. It, for whatever reason, does not like being clicked. Did it actually report anything? No. So I've chosen to ignore this for a little bit, on purpose, somewhat. I do know why this isn't working a bit. Let's do open new tab and see if that does it. And then let's also, yeah, that's fine. Oh, let me also share the docs with y'all again. So these are the web browser docs that I'm using. And let me also zoom in. I realize you're probably not able to see this. So when I'm using open, it's defaulting to using the existing browser, but it's not pulling up. In my example, it actually, I used open new tab. So I'm going to use open new tab, and we're going to hope that that works, because I'm really confused as to why it's not working. Not implemented error. That's useful. Why are you yelling at me? Add signal handler. Not implemented. But what do you mean it's not implemented? What do you mean? I'm cheating and referencing my stuff. Nesta stop event. Oh, this is here. That's fine. That's fine. Why do you not like me? Title, message, urgency. I'm gonna just see how much different this is. Paper. Oh. There's some things that I pulled over that I had to do some debugging on. I think we're hitting that point. I'm gonna paste some things over. All right, so in the example code, there's these stop events, this loop stuff, and these signal handlers. Am I missing a signal handler? Is that what it is? Articles for article and article. Await.notifier send. Title. Message. Urgency. On clicked, it's a Lambda function. Open new tab. Use the ID. On dismissed. Do other stuff, which I'm not doing, and then sound default sound. Why actually are you not implemented? I didn't actually read the specific line number. Loop add signal. Did I forget an import? I might have forgotten an import. Let's go back up. All right, we have async IO, we have signal, desktop notifier. We got rid of apply field and button, so let's clean that one up. We have web browser. Sync IO. Oh. Huh. Well, you know work. Notifier. That's fine. Oh, you know what? I didn't actually. No, that's fine. Should stop event. You know what? Is it because this is above? No, that's not it. Articles. For article, and article is something I did differently. It's fine. Yeah, I don't know why this is broken, so we're just gonna paste that over then. And wonder why it's broken. We're gonna change this to, I used a different name. I actually realized papers is better. Let's change that. This is ID. I imagine that this is not going to fix the problem, but it is going to help us determine whether or not we need to fix the problem. And then stop event. Yeah, that should be fine. And then async run main, and just in case. Try this again. Nope, still not implemented. Okay, it says not implemented, but like I am getting notifications. It's just not running the browser stuff that I want. Boo. Mosquitoes are shouting. Thank you. That sounds terrible, actually. What's not implemented? Add signal handler. Oh, you know what? This is only for certain platforms. That's what I'm forgetting. I'm forgetting to make this platform specific. So we need to import platform. I don't know if it's default, but what I need here is this specific line. Okay, so we're adding in a Windows specific thing where if that's why it's freaking out. If platform.system is not Windows, we want to do these two things. We don't need sig break. We do need loop is equal. Yeah, do that. Great. That might fix it. Might not. There we go. Okay. I did finally get a new tab open. There we go. The notifier finally works because it was breaking on a Linux thing. It'd be like that. So what happened there? Let's talk about it a little bit. We have if platform system. Platform is a like kind of default library in Python that just helps us check, what is this OS that we're running? And currently this is running on a Windows. And so I'm getting the loop, which I didn't actually need to. And we're going to say add signal handler for signal int and signal terminate. And those are for Linux and I believe Mac, which Windows doesn't have these. So you'll notice that it's not freaking out here. It's not closing. It's not stopping the process until I hit a keyboard interrupt. And that's just kind of the assumption that there will be a keyboard interrupt with Windows, that it will naturally stop it. But this is a different failsafe. I never actually got around to fixing how this should work on Windows. That's something I got stuck on. But that is something for after this 2-hour project is done. But we were halfway there where we've gotten articles. And we also have a notifier. And we have that this opens the new tab of the articles that we're referencing. So we're doing great. And we have done that in the last 30 minutes as well. Yay us. We also want to update some of our message stuff, where instead we're going to chop this out. Oh, dear gosh. I wanted to get rid of this. And we're going to replace that. And we're going to change this to F because that was a goof up on my version. I did not set up this properly. Cool. So we have title, we have message. You could add the summary in here, but I think it would make for a very bulky notification that people don't want to read. We also, I think that's fine. Cool. So we have our desktop notifier. Now, what's next on our to-do list? Let's go ahead and close that because we don't need web browser anymore. We might need platform support as far as checking some things. Desktop notifier, let's keep it open just in case, because we might need to revisit this event loop integration. All right. Coming back to our to-do, let's change this to checkbox. We got topic. We set max articles. We set up dummy data. And what's it called? Create tab from notification with link. We did that. Yay. Okay. So now let's talk about time. Time is different on every operating system. It's so frustrating. But that's okay. Where we have a couple options. Being that if you're familiar with cron jobs, this might be where you can shine especially. I know minimal about cron jobs, which is why I kind of didn't want to do it. But it was a good opportunity for me to learn, which is why I'm like, well, I should do this project. So Windows has a schedule task, or a task scheduler that you can use, but it involves using Python w.exe, which basically ensures that this never actually runs a command line window. It just runs in the background. Versus if you're not using Windows, you'll use NoHup or NoHUP. Then if you're familiar with more than just cron jobs, you might be familiar with daemons. Fun fact, there is a book called Daemon that is about what happens if somebody puts a daemon out there and lets it propagate on its own and it has its own life. But daemons are better for things that are at high frequencies. Like let's say you're doing a data analysis task that happens every second, or maybe you want a notification every second. Arxiv won't let you do that. But daemons are useful for other aspects. They're kind of in the same plane as cron jobs. There's running this script continuously, which as you saw, if I never close that Visual Studio Code terminal window, I can have it run forever if I wanted, I guess. I don't really like that idea. And that kind of brings us back to we'll just run it in the background because then you don't have to have a terminal window occupied by this script. However, when you have a background process like that, there is a risk that comes with it, which is if we were doing something more complex, how do you deal with memory leaks? How do you deal with when your computer says, no more, we're out of RAM and everything else, and then it just crashes? So that's what I'm getting into with these problems is like what happens if it takes up additional memory because we're running it in the background? What happens if it's not properly completing the job and rescheduling itself, for example? And what happens if, oh no, there's multiple illnesses if we don't, or multiple instances if we don't set this up correctly? So there are some risks in doing this, but there are some Python libraries that we can do to start the process and at least do a proof of concept. With the intent being that someone could go off and take this their own way and do the things the right way that I don't really know how yet. So we're using Windows Task Scheduler and or Python crons for Mac and Linux. But we can at least test to make sure, like, does this even work? Can we at least do this properly? By doing this through terminals command line, or through terminals, through Python in the same script. And the answer to that is actually using the existing libraries that Desktop Notifier is using with their async IO and Signal. So we're going to repurpose it a little bit, that we should actually talk about this right now, which is the notes on Mac OS. So with Windows, the notifications automatically worked. Great, love that. Mac OS, I did test it. I did confirm it did not work because you have to ensure that you enable that the notifications are bundled and executable, signed, all that jazz that you need to ensure that macOS will let you use it. So they offer a couple things that you can do, whether it's freeze your code with a PyInstaller or packaging solution. You must sign the resulting app bundle for the notifications to work. But it would be better if you sign it with an Apple developer certificate, should you want to distribute this elsewhere and have it be available on future things. This is a home solution. This is very much a baby solution to certain things. There are many better ways to do things, but I just wanted to say, like, can I at least get notifications for me on my desktop, which is where I'm mostly working? And the answer is yes. But if you decide to take this a different direction, you'll need to make sure that this is signed somehow if you wanted to have it usable, let's say, on your Mac, if you have one. Windows, like I said, you can just use the task scheduler. No need to sign anything. It just does it. I haven't actually looked into that, but like I said, it depended on if we had time. Anyway, so design choices. This package is opinionated in a few ways. Does not try to work around platform restrictions, such as changing the app icon on macOS, because workarounds would be hacky and it's rejected by the App Store. So this project or like library is actually quite nice. They tell you up front what they haven't done and why they haven't done it, which I appreciate. Which is why it is that I'm like, yeah, I like using this, but there were some issues that I'm like, it's okay. It's okay. It's not the end of the world. It's not a bad thing. I'm still running out of water. I only had so much time to put water in. No, that's okay. But yeah, it's useful to prove the point. I think there's a lot of ways that this project could be improved, but for the sake of it being 2 hours, this is a great, simple, easy, explainable project that we can walk away from and be like, yes, put this on my resume, which is what I wanted out of this, to be honest, because I'm applying for jobs. Anyway, coming back to this event loop integration. Right now, oh gosh, I'm tired. I'm also hungry. They have a couple of recommendations where, again, proof of concept, I'm only doing this in the next minute, so to speak, to test it. And then I might do something different if I had the time to do the research, do everything else to actually properly set it up to run every single day. That's a future me problem and maybe possibly a future you problem. But they say, here's an example of doing the CF run loop in examples event. Oh, JK, it's broken. Well, we're not using that. That's okay. Let's go back to what we have. So we have our function def main. Let's go ahead and replace that function name with, let's say, check and notify. And let's go replace calls to main. And while we're at it, let's also go ahead and update this to be, yes, thank you, a proper Python file where we're going to run that. And we're going to do accept interrupt, because that's what was freaking out on us earlier. We're going to just let it happen. We just want to handle it gracefully on Windows. Handle keyboard interrupt gracefully on Windows. How nice of them. Awesome. Alrighty, let's start looking into time stuff. Right off the bat, we're gonna need import datetime. Datetime. Oh my goodness. From datetime, import datetime and time delta. This is something I researched where you can't just put in like, oh, at 5 o'clock, do the thing. No, it needs to calculate the time until 5 o'clock. It's dumb. Whatever. It is what it is. But we also need to have a function that we now like wait for the time to happen. So right under, actually no, not under our fetch, but under our, let's go ahead and right above our get papers, we're going to do another await. No, we're going to do def until time. Great. Thank you. Sure. Take the time now, target until, from now until the expected hour and minute. If now is greater than target, target plus equals. Interesting. How very nice. That's not quite how I did it, but that's okay. It's a little similar. We'll let it be. We also want seconds. I also want it to be equal to 0. Let's make it equal to 0. And let's set this to 9 a.m. for shit's sake. Sorry, for giggles. Gosh. Wait. Today month, today year, hour. I don't really. That's okay. And then that's fine. That's the same. I'm going to copy something over because it's better to copy it and then explain it. We don't need to return target now, but okay. And let's do that. Okay. So when I first created this project, like I said, already had code written for this. That way we could reference it and have minimal bugs. I also need to add sync to this. All right, so let's talk about what's going on in this function. Originally we had def, let's make this wait until time. We had a wait until time, so time of day if we wanted this to be daily, which I think is a not bad idea. If you wanted to do weekly or other options, that's future work. But right now I'm setting it to if somebody doesn't give the exact time that they want, that they will, choose like a time other than 9 o'clock. But default is going to be 9 a.m. because that's like a workday start, I guess. And I don't know. I start my workday at 9. That's when I start working. That's when I want to get the notification. So what this does is it gathers the current time right now. And then it takes our target date time. So let's see. Where it calculates how much time until our target. And it assumes it's a day out. And then we have how much time we have to wait until the notification happens. And that's what this is doing. It's telling us how much time until it happens. And using that same library, async.io, it will sleep the program until time to wait. Seems straightforward. I used a mixture of ChatGPT and Copilot to write this, just because I wasn't super clear on like, well, how do I make the notification go off when I want it to? So working with Copilot and ChatGPT, I ended up with this code. There might be better ways to do it. There might be smarter ways or cleaner ways to do it, but I'm just not aware of those right now. And that's something I can improve upon for the future of this project. But for the sake of our purposes, this might be what you get if you had asked ChatGPT the things that I did, or Copilot if you'd asked the things that I did. And of course, we're using async because, we need to have the await call. So it's an asynchronous function. All right. That sped us by pretty quickly. So now what do we do? Well, when we check in Notify, we do want to get papers, but we want to make sure that we've waited until, thank you, Copilot, the time that we've expected. So if we were to say, 9 a.m., that would be tomorrow for me, which is quite a ways away. So instead, we are going to mess around a bit. And let's say we want it, let's say I want it at, 5:15 or something. And we can do some other things in the meantime. And while you might expect I would put 5, no, it's 24-hour clock. So what is 5 in the 24-hour clock? It is 17. And then we're going to put 10 because that's what time it is. We're going to put 5 actually. And we're going to leave this actually at 0 seconds because I don't care too much. And then, sorry, got a text from a friend. This is why I turned off my phone, turned off my notifications. They're distracting. We're going to wait until time, and then we're going to make sure that we don't call the papers beforehand. Because if we call the papers when we're waiting until the time has hit the time that we want, then it's going to get the papers and then it's going to wait on it, which is terrible. It's very frustrating. So instead, we want to wait until the time and then get the papers. And then we make the notifications and go from there. There shouldn't be too much that we need to add. I mean, we'll need to do some cleanup and some comments and stuff, but we're basically done functionality-wise. It just needs, some debugging and making sure some things are good. So we did cancel that. Let's go ahead and, as you can see, it's waiting 0.06 hours until time. And we can sit here and I'm actually going to let it because I think it's a great opportunity to get some questions in. So if you have any questions about what we've done so far, I know we've moved very fast, and this is actually faster than my usual streams, just because, again, I was like, we got to do this in 2 hours. Oh, gosh. I want to make sure that we get it done and get it functional so that way somebody could go off, fork it, do as they like, and add whatever magical goodness they want to it. Yeah. Any questions, comments, concerns? Feel free to ask me if you want me to go back over something. I know, again, I've been speed running this, really trying to make sure that we get this project done, but now is the time to, wow, okay, doing the whole thing in Rust. That's cool. I have not yet gotten a chance to learn Rust, so I would like to be made aware of when you make this thing on GitHub because I want to read how it works. I want to read the code. But that's cool. Nice. Maybe that's something I do in a future stream, is where Cecilia just learns Rust. I once upon a time got a chance to check out the textbook on Rust that's put out by the Rust community from the library, and it was really interesting to read, and then I didn't have time to actually go through it and do much more than that. And then I realized they had an open source version of the textbook on their website, and I was like, oh, that's amazing. So now I don't even have to buy a textbook because it will always have an updated online textbook. Rust is really neat. I have a couple friends who are working with it, and they've really enjoyed it. I like how it seems like it's safer, or is the phrasing, I guess, that there's less memory leaks and whatnot. Kind of like a guardrailed C is my understanding. Oh, cool. It's going to be your learning project. Oh, that's exciting. I love learning new things in my projects. All right, we've got 2 more minutes to kill with this delay. And you can see it's still sleeping. It's still not doing much. It's actually really nice because now I can catch my breath because, again, I was speedrunning this notifier. I thought we'd have some breaking bugs, but we actually haven't so far. Probably because the code is simpler and I'm working with less content for once. Still waiting. I shouldn't have sent it. I should have set it for closer than. Oh, we got a minute. Okay, I'm just being impatient. We got a minute. We're occupying time. So I'm thinking to wrap this stream up, we will clean up the code, add comments, and I will introduce you all to PEP codes or PEP, like XXX, which the numbers are replaced there, just because those are like documentation strings and expectations of Python code itself. We'll make it all consistent, and then we'll be done. So that should take us pretty much to the end with the last like 20 to 25 minutes, given that. But I mean, again, you're welcome to ask questions as we go. It's almost time. Almost there. 15 more seconds. I'm actually really concerned this is not going to work because I waited so long. I haven't tried it longer than a minute, but logically it should work. So, I mean, we should be fine. What I'm really excited to do... Oh, there we go. It just went off. Fantastic. There's 1 and 2. There's our link. Fantastic. That worked. But as you can see, this did not stop. So, yeah. That's okay. But we did it. The code is basically done. It's functional. It's not going to notify you every day. You'll have to restart it. That's where cron jobs come in and a bunch of other things. But it is 90% of the way there. So let's get it to the 95% by cleaning it all up. Alrighty. So we would make sure that this works again using the articles instead. Let's go ahead and add some comments to it. So this is a doc string. Let's see if, yeah, there we go. So Copilot will let you autofill some things. This is a type of Python documentation string that we're going to go ahead and go with. It's called PEP257, which is a way for you to standardize your doc strings. I think, yeah. So you're using triple quotes usually. You're doing 1 lines, usually right after the function. And also, I want to clean up the. I don't know this notation. I know I should. I'm guessing it's a way of typing Python. It's not consistent, and it would be better that I was consistent. So as much as it hurts me to do this, it's consistency is important. Get papers from Arxiv. We don't need a period there. Oh, I guess we do. It's fine. They can leave it. Cool. So we have that function, We have this function. Let's go ahead and make this more consistent. Check for new papers and send notifications. Yay. And we don't need a comment on that one. Okay, so we have our comments in. Yay. Let me go ahead and close that. And let's go through and read through, make sure we've cleaned up all our stuff. And then we're basically done. Nice. Oh, I'm glad it worked for y'all. Never actually had like people keep up with me on that one, but I've also never gone this fast, so there are probably easy ways to do things. We're not going to touch this because this works. For this, the feed URL, we are going to uncomment this. Oops. And I'm going to change that. So get papers. They get topic, start, max results. That's all fine. It's returning entries. And then awaiting until time, we are going to need to pass in topic, start, max results. So that way that will go into our get papers, which we'll replace here. So topic, start, max results. So one thing you could do is like have arguments that go with the script or something. And that way you just change it in the script. Let's see. This is getting title. This is getting message. Urgency is fine. Open this in a new tab. Don't worry about the dismiss. We actually don't need that. And then this is all fine and dandy for now, but eventually we might have a way to finagle things. The other thing we need to do is we want to make sure that we know what the time is. So let's do time, hour, minute, and let's do hour, minute, seconds. And we know that the default, if those are not added, is 9 a.m. I wonder if... Let's get rid of that. Put that here. Space, and then get rid of this one. That way the default values are not there, but there. And then let's do seconds. Okay. Cool. Oh, second. That's fine. Await, that's fine. Is there anything? Oh, that's right. We need to update this where we have topic, start, max, hour, minute, and second. Okay. So, obviously these don't exist. So what we could do is we could just have, yeah, there we go. Thanks so much, Copilot. I appreciate you. Cool. So we have a couple default values. This could be replaced with, again, script arguments that you pass in. I will have a version on GitHub that I will share the link with once we are basically done here. So it will be somewhat similar. I'll actually be posting some things that I need to make this code match what I have, because that was where I stopped off basically, and it was like my working thing. And now we've actually gone a little past. So I'll share that on GitHub once I'm done porting things over. But the repository is live because I made it public just recently. So it's slightly different, but I will update it to look similar. Alrighty. So we have our stuff. Is there anything else that we need? I don't believe so. Wait until a specific time of day. I just want to double check. So we've imported stuff. That all works. We changed this to not have default. There's going to be a slight difference on this line. I'm totally fine with that. We have getting papers. We know that works. That's what we need to get rid of. We need to get rid of the other entries. We want to say for every entry, and then check and notify gets all that information. We're going to wait until the time that we say we want you to wait. And then Notifier desktop, that papers or paper in paper. And then stop events. That's going to be the keyboard interrupt. And then we have this. Alrighty, we finished with plenty of time, which is awesome. Yeah, I haven't shared it yet. So just hang tight. Cool. Well, with that, if there's any questions that you have, you're welcome to ask me while I port over some of what we did to my version. That was my working copy that I was referencing throughout this. There's a couple other things that I integrated for Mac because I tested it on my MacBook and it was angry, so I had to fix some things. And there's also a different order in the functions themselves and names as well. So I don't want to just copy paste over. As you can see, I was testing it at 228 and all that. So we're going to go ahead and copy this. Gonna paste that. It's fine. Check and notify. Originally, it was just an hour, and yeah, let's go copy this. Let's go change that. And let's get rid of that for consistency. And I also changed the name finally because I had derped. Let's go copy that get papers and paste that over here to see what changed. It's actually much shorter than what I did. Try, and then we have return the entries. Oh, I see. I just did that in the return. That's fine. There are different ways you can do this. I'm fine with this. Based on the query. That's fine. And then, right, this one is different than this one. That one, I don't need to actually paste that. That's fine. That was fine. Time to wait. And I changed these to get papers. And this is going to need topic, start, max results, all that jazz. Let's do that. Cool. And then I need to also change app name. I didn't spell archive right. Wow, shame on me. Arxiv Notifier. Go ahead and do that. Let's see. Anything else I need to change? I got rid of this because I don't need it. Windows was fine. Var args are necessary here. This is something that I did for Mac, and that's fine. I think we're good. Let's go ahead and test this one. Okay, you're waiting. That's fine. It is now, what time is it now? It is 17:25. Shoot. 26 45. Let's do that. Cool. Let's make sure that works before I go ahead and push that, and then I will share the repo link. And then we'll be done super early, which nice, but I mean, I guess I didn't put enough content. I guess I could do the var args part of it. A couple more seconds there. You can see my VS Code pets hanging out in the corner there. Should go off. Oh, duh. I put it at 26. Whoops. There we go. Should go off shortly. Derp. Ah. Okay. I goofed on not reading this. This takes all that. Get papers. Should have also had other things, it seems like. Let's go show me the other one. Yep, that would do it. I didn't need those. Let's go ahead and change this one to 26 to 45. Great. Run that. Whoa, interesting. Seconds doesn't work. Good to know. Currently doesn't work. 27. And then let's hopefully run that before it swaps. Yeah, 2 seconds. Cool. Oh, cannot contain control characters. Because I did not agree. What did I goof on there? Should have just been the same. Okay. Not sure what happened there. Found at least a space. Cannot contain control characters. Found at least space. Oh, I see. That's good to know. Let's do one word. Doesn't work with spaces. Need to URLify. So this is why we're testing. So that way we can make sure that we know what to fix and I can make issues. That just turned 85. All right. We're not done, but we're almost there. But I found lots of bugs in like the last few minutes. Of course I did. Okay, we got 30 seconds. Go ahead and run that. Let that do its thing. I need to make notes of those bugs I need to fix. And then we'll call it good once that goes off. I won't be pushing this code version just because I have to fix those bugs, but I will push it before the end of today. Almost there. Link, why you like this? Future results. Remain. Link. Oh, because I didn't save that. Silly me. Forgot to change that. This is under notifications. I'm just gonna copy what I have there. This one. Oh, wait. And this is article. This is why I try to use the same things, but I still get things wrong because Copilot. Ah, perfect. We should be good enough for 5:30, and it shouldn't take too long. 2:30 seconds. No, that's not it. All right, let's make sure. Title ID. Great. Success. There we go. Lots of links. Oh, amazing. This is fantastic. It does give us repeat stuff, which is not so nice. That is another problem to fix. Okay, so we have 3 bugs. Cool. I will go fix those for tonight. But in the meantime, I think we're at a point that we're good. Let me go ahead and close that and go ahead and find that repo link. Repositories. This is what I mean by it was a 2-hour project because I missed a lot of bugs. It worked bare minimum. Alrighty. Here is the link to the project that is not updated with today's stuff. But it has the base functionality minus the things that we just found. That I will commit later today, fixes for what I can fix. But y'all are welcome to fork it, do as you like, make your own stuff. What you'll also notice in that repo is that there is a, what's it called? A license for open source use. Again, in the spirit of Open Source Week, this was meant to just be a non-profitable project that people could download and do what they need to do. If they have familiarity with cron and Windows Task Scheduler, etc., that they'd be able to run this script with no issues. Unfortunately, I don't, so there are some issues that I'm going to still run into as I implement this myself, but the code is there, so all you need to really do is schedule it. With that then, any last questions before I let you go? If not, feel free to jump off. Actually, let's see who is next for today. Schedule. Whoa, too big. Who is next after me? Looks like, oh my gosh, it's Claire. Claire will be on in 30 minutes, less than that. She's a brand new coach at MLH. Please go show her love. Make sure that you're super kind to her. This is her first stream with us. And so she'll be getting started with React. So hype her up, tell her hello, say that all of the coaches have sent you all in their place to support her and make sure that she has a great stream. And then as far as anything else upcoming, it looks like we have, I know Alberto later today is also doing a Tetris mini event. Kari is doing a talk on open source and education tomorrow morning if you are US based. I believe it'll be closer to dinner time if you're out in APAC. So lots of fun things. And then if you find that you don't know what's going on for tomorrow, Kari and I will be leading today in Global Hack Week, one of the last ones of the week. But I know that Career Week is coming up next month. So plan ahead, think about what you want to see, and make sure to mention it. So that way when we're planning for next month, we know what you want. With that, let me remind you to check in if you haven't already. I know some people joined pretty late. But go ahead and register for the stream. Make sure you don't forget. And yeah, like I said, any last questions? I'll stay on for about a minute. Basically, if I don't get a message in a minute, I'm close it all up. Make a note to fix those bugs. Fix archive bugs. Seeming like there's no questions. I'll give it like 15 more seconds. Actually, you're listening to a really new song by someone I like, so I'm like, yes, this is good music to go do. Yeah, I see some people dropping off. Go ahead and take that break before the next session. Again, give Claire that wonderful, warm MLH welcome. And looking forward to our next stream. I actually have one tomorrow. We'll be talking more about things you can do with GitHub if you're not familiar with Git. It'll be more of like an educational one rather than coding all that big of a project, frankly. But yeah. All right, then I'll go ahead and drop off again. Tell Claire hello and welcome. And, again, show her some love this afternoon / evening / morning, depending on where you are. And make sure that you all, take a break, get some rest. Thanks so much for coming, and I look forward to seeing y'all at future Global Hack Weeks. See ya!